Shalom, I'm Moreh Matan, and welcome to this week's Moreh Minute. This week our Torah portion is called Moreh, and among other things, the kosher laws are enumerated in this week's Torah portion. Now, we've talked about this before, but let me just remind you that the Jewish people were not given the kosher laws because it makes you more healthy, but rather it causes you to eat differently and make different decisions when you eat than any other nation in the world. So God's purpose was not necessarily to make them healthier, but rather to make them stand apart. This is the definition of the word holy, to be set apart, to be set aside for God's intended purpose. With regard to fish, they must have fins and scales in order for them to be kosher to eat. So if you are like me and you are eating kosher, even though I live in the south of the United States, one particular fish is off the menu that's very popular in my area, and that is catfish. You see, catfish have fins, but they don't have scales. They have a skin, kind of like a shark. So you must have fins and scales, and this is why mussels, clams, oysters, shrimp, lobster, things like that are also off the kosher menu because they don't have fins and scales. There was a famous rabbi in the first century named Rabbi Akiva, and he apparently had a famous parable about kosher fish, about fins and scales. He said that the fins of the fish help propel the fish forward, help it move forward through the water, and the scales protect it from attack. In our lives, Rabbi Akiva explains that when we study the Torah, it's the fins, so to speak, that's our knowledge of the Torah that helps us move throughout the books and the verses and to gain a proper understanding. And the scales, well, that's what helps us ward off attack from the enemy. It helps us keep away from temptation. Now, you might think that moving forward is the most important thing, and so we need to place the emphasis on the fins or the moving forward in the Torah with our Bible knowledge. But if we don't also have those scales, we will become egotistical because we won't be able to fight off the temptation of becoming puffed up with our Torah knowledge. This is one of the things that I so appreciate about Yeshivat Shuvu, because we like to say it's not about information, it's about transformation. If you just want to fill up your head with knowledge, then our yeshiva, our Messianic Jewish school, is not for you. But if you're truly looking for a discipleship experience where you will not only learn how to move through the Torah yourself, but to have the armor that defends you against the enemy, then we've got a school for you. Think about this in your life. If all we do is learn and learn, as the Bible says, knowledge puffs up. We need to be able to move throughout the Torah, but to do so in humility, being armed with the scales, as it were, that protect us from temptation. Who knew that you could learn so much from fish? Once again, I'm Moreh Matan. Thank you for joining me this week. If you're interested in joining our program called Kosher Pastor, go to kosherpastor.com and you can fill out an application where we are still bundling all 7 courses for just $400. It's an introductory course in Messianic Judaism designed for Christians, and it just may be for you. So join us there at kosherpastor.com. I want to wish you a beautiful Sabbath. Shabbat Shalom to you, and I want to say God's richest blessings be upon your family. Shalom and Kol Tuv.